What's up everyone, how's it going? Welcome to today's pre-market analysis, and we're going to conduct this like a pre-week analysis because we have discontinued the pre-market analysis sessions. What we are going to be doing is simply analyzing the overall market really quickly and set ourselves up for the day today. I know we are quite late, but market's looking like it's setting up a decent retracement setup. We are at the all-time highs by quite a bit now. So that being said, we made a gap as well. So on the longer time frame, I would want this gap to be filled, but if that's not possible, that's completely understandable. How's it looking now? We see this when we start getting volume, we start chopping around the place. So there's that. But what I'm gonna go ahead and do, let me open up my Bookmap.
Sweep NQ buyers. Absorption NQ sellers. Absorption NQ sellers.
Okay, Bookmap looks to be all over the place, not necessarily a clear trend yet. Sales do look to be coming in though. Check out the upper sweep of the liquidity
Sweep
on
NQ
Bookmap,
sellers.
breaking below the level. I would honestly shift to a bearish perspective here. And here, let me show you guys how that looks. Okay, I don't even think you guys can see my right. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Actually, method, display. There we go. See this? This is my Bookmap, right? So what we see is that price has went up, took out this key important level at 6890, and now we're hovering over this. Passive buying tried to come in, sellers were able to break through. Now passive sellers are defending price, and they're actually allowing structure, and price is actually getting absorbed at this level. Although it's not seeing any significant absorption, we are seeing buyers being unable to break through this level. We don't know that for sure yet, but the fact that sellers are holding this level and price is bleeding down shows us that there is seller aggression. Now the matter of understanding is how far down will price go, and to see that we're gonna have to look here and compare the different levels, right? So I want to see where that gap fill is. 841, or what is down here? 826. It looks like around 840 there is Bookmap liquidity. So if all goes well, I do want to see sells until we get to this region, and then we can potentially see longs again. And I'm not going to base it off much more than that. I don't want to overcomplicate my pre-week analysis for this week, simply because we are at this all-time high region and we did gap up. I simply want to either see a retracement here, looking for a reaction off of it, or see something like that. But honestly, this is going to be my only preferred outcome, and the probability of it happening is pretty high as well, in my opinion.
Stock
Typically when you
NQ
gap
sell.
up this
Sweep
significantly,
NQ sellers.
momentum either drops price up higher, like such, or we see a gap fill at least till the 50% line. But typically we see an entire gap fill, potentially even down to here on a higher time frame, and then we start to see actual action. And
Sweep
perfect
NQ
timing
sellers.
to
Sweep
when we got on
NQ
the market,
sellers.
because
Sweep
now we're
NQ
starting to
sellers.
see selling bleed through. What I
Sweep
do want to be
NQ
aware
sellers.
of though is the simple fact that it looks like sellers might have gotten absorbed here. And some sellers did, but not too many, so that's good. So not too many sellers got absorbed there. If you can break through this initial barrier level, right? Hold on, let me mark it out. Let me zoom in here and I'll mark it out for you guys. If you can break below this entire region, not like we're doing now, and then we see a break, retest has absorption and Bookmap barrier to support, and there's clear structure on Bookmap to support the downside, I would be happy to take a short in that sense, but that's probably going to be the only thing I look for. I am going to go on the higher time frame, see if there's anything there that we can speculate off of, but honestly, I'm not gonna assume that there is much. And honestly, I'll consider this an imbalance below level as well. Balance below. Gap fill there. And honestly, there's no point of marking this below, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do it anyways. We can call this a pre-week analysis. No need for hybrid analysis because we're doing pre-market and pre-week. You can consider it as pre-week. Have a 3 hour here. You see how when we start marking too many things out, it starts to get a tad bit confusing. I mean, we're not really getting confused here. We're just seeing strong price action towards the upside over a higher time frame. And these are just simple levels that if you retrace to, price may, not guaranteed, it may bounce off of it. You just use it under the context of whatever the order flow is giving us. It's just a game of price action at this point. And honestly, you have to think in the sense of why strategy works as well. Why does a strategy work? If you can't answer these questions, right? One, who is your opposition? Who are you getting that liquidity from to actually drive prices towards your target? Two, why does it work? And three, how do you know that it works? If you can answer those three questions, your strategy is likely has some sort of edge. Perhaps that edge does not outperform the S&P 500, or perhaps it does. It just depends on the type of edge that you have, and if you have low correlation within your edges, you can start to stack them up with each other. And if you do start stacking them up with each other, both your Sharpe will increase and your returns most of the times. So just something to keep in mind. What did I just do? 2 hour. Not gonna go down much more. 1 hour. Hold on. Okay, so let's continue. 1 hour, there's stuff there. Not seeing anything that we need to mark out. I'll mark this out though, why not? $30-minute. We do have this 30-minute demand zone here. We do look to have broken it. Right now we are retracing, but honestly, if you see bar absorption here, shorts may not be a bad idea. I'm just trying to think. Let's see. We have this block of here. Let me show you guys. Let me move this over here, and then right. Okay. So what we're seeing on Bookmap now, these sellers are coming in, and now buyers are starting to rebalance a little bit. We have this big seller liquidity block. If you start to see buyer absorption within that liquidity block or nearby, shorts may be viable. Something that may be a bit risky though is the fact that we have 124 orders still resting at 6880, and realistically we want to head down to gap fill at 6840. I know that's targeting a big target. I do want to see what we can capture, right? Because we don't want to over attempt to capture anything. We want to capture a piece of the pie because who knows what could happen between that moment. We could easily get ticked out while it still goes to our target afterwards. You just want to capture the portion that makes it valuable. And right now, I'm honestly not going to take anything simply because of the fact that we have this here, and taking that we would only gain around 5 to 10 ticks. And yeah, look, we have passive buyers starting to buy up. So just a waiting game for now, but let's go ahead and take a look at the news for this week and conduct pre-week like such as well. Today it's a no news Monday. Tomorrow we have nothing we have to worry about. We do have CB consumer confidence. Once again, nothing crazy. Wednesday we do have FOMC in the afternoon, but in the morning we have nothing crazy. We have pending home sales and a lot of Canadian news, but affecting the US futures market might not be that crazy. Nonetheless, 5-minute interval may not be a bad idea. Thursday we don't seem to have much. We have natural gas storage, but other than that, nothing crazy. And Friday we have nothing crazy as well. We just have Chicago PMI, which 5-minute interval could do the job. I was just double check that, not seeing too much here. US consumer confidence, yep. Here we have crude oil inventories, 930. On FOMC day, we do have a little bit of news. Nothing crazy, just typical news. Thursday, we don't have much to worry about. Natural gas change. And Friday. Friday's at the Chicago PMI. Alright, that's perfect. So, that's what I'm seeing on ES until 30-minute. I'm just trying to see. I'm not going to mark this demand zone. I'll keep it in my mind that there is one there, but we have this structure already that makes it kind of redundant to mark it out. So now, just stick on the 5-minute, look at order flow, and wait. What I do want to see happen, even if we don't go all the way down to gap fill, I do want to see us fill in that imbalance a little bit at least. We gapped up quite heavily, and we haven't even ticked below this gap fill. This is a big imbalance that
Inju
price has
00 said
set.
Geronimo. Good.
Yo, you guys can hear my whole entire computer system. I
Sweep
didn't
and
even
pin
realize
buyers.
that. Yo, I'm sorry
Stop
about
it.
that. You heard my entire book map. Hopefully you guys were able to hear over me. But we're starting to see these buys occur. It's a book map making those noises previously. And we did see some seller absorption here. So I mean, buyers are still quite strong. I did want to see the sells come in, but we didn't get enough confirmation, so we didn't enter anything. And we did see a little bit of seller absorption here. So I'm going to stay patient. The best trades we can make are the trades that we can take with high confidence. And perhaps we don't even take any trades. It's already 9:30. We'll see what we can do. But yeah, let's just take a look at NQ and then we can conclude this video. I apologize for the misconvenience with the audio, but just take a look at what we're seeing here. We've gapped up, we haven't broke below that gap fill, and we're starting to rise up constantly and aggressively. Now, think about what this can mean, right? Price is driving and pushing upwards, but honestly, I have a bad feeling of continuing to take the longs after we've gapped because we've left such a big imbalance. Kind of uneasy of taking longs since we are so high up. I don't want to chase a move that's ended, right? Price has moved up aggressively, but this imbalance staying there, I would say that it's much more likely that this imbalance gets filled than it staying there. And that's why that's going to be my overall bias that I'm going to play with. If that does not occur, so be it. But if it does, that's perfect. We're just going to mark everything out. Oh my god. It shall be sufficient, and you know, I'm not even marking out a volume profile as well. Because what we're going to go ahead and see is that there's going to be two volume clusters. I can almost guarantee this, right? We're going to have a big volume cluster here. and an even bigger volume cluster right here at this 3 hour. And let's see how I did. I don't know how I did, but let's see. Perfectly set. We have a high volume node at these highs. We have a high volume node at this 3 hour. We even have a high volume node down at the liquidity. And it's likely the same on ES as well. Let's just test it out real quick. Okay, high volume node here, high volume node here. Yeah, we have a high volume node here and a high volume node here. It's quite easy to start to see these things with intuition, simply looking at a candlestick chart. But volume profile can start to confirm that. And we have absolutely zero volume here. All the volume is down here. Unless we start to generate high amounts of volume up here, realistically the auction wouldn't want to stay there for too long. And now, if you look on the footprint chart, it does look like buyers are starting to get absorbed to an extent. So potentially something to be taken soon, but again, I'm just viewing it. I'm not ready to take anything yet. But with that being said, I am going to go ahead and conclude the pre-week analysis session, and I'm going to move on with my trading day, see if I can take any trades, and come back to you guys in the evening for the market analysis session. So I'll see you guys then. Goodbye.